Okay. There's that damn voice again. What the What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Repster, where movies and entertainment are our reputation. So Hatchet II was released in 2010, was once again directed by Adam Green, and stars Danielle Harris, Todd, and Kane Hodder. After escaping the clutches of the bayou-butcher Victor Crowley, Marybeth, along with an army of hunters and gunmen, returns to Honey Island Swamp to end Crowley's reign of terror once and for all. Alright guys, as promised, here's my Hatchet II review. First of all, I do have to warn you, this one wasn't as strong. It wasn't as clever, it wasn't as original. Of course, this is a sequel. But without further ado, let's get into the positives of Hatchet II. First and foremost, Todd. We get more of him in this as Reverend Zombie. You know, the first one, you only see him in like 5 minutes of it in the beginning. In this one, he's got a much bigger role. His role is expanded. He's in the entire film, pretty much. And for a character of this magnitude, especially this actor, Todd, you want someone like him into your horror movies. For horror alumni, the face of horror, which he's been great in. I mean, he was freaking Candyman, for crying out loud. Someone like him you want in your horror film. So that's a big positive for me for this film. He was one of those characters that I truly deem as the true villain of this film. Even though Victor Crowley is the main villain of this, after you find out his motivations and everything is wanting to go back to the swamp, he is the true villain of this. Without giving too much away, of course this came out like 10 years ago, so those of you who've seen it know what I'm talking about. But those of you who haven't, yeah, just watch it and you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I do consider him as the true villain of this film. But his character, his presence, I should really say his presence was a treat, especially for horror. In the horror community, great actor, great performance. And then you got Tom Holland, who plays Uncle Bob, the uncle to Danielle Harris's character. For those of you who don't know who Tom Holland is, he's a famous director who directed two of my favorite horror films, which is the original Child's Play and the original Fright Night. Granted, I hadn't really seen Fright Night that much, but I do remember liking it a lot. And it's another one I'm hoping to review for you guys soon. But he's the one that brought Chucky to life. And seeing his presence for horror alumni and these horror iconic characters and directors such as Tom Holland and Todd is a real treat. And I thought that was another positive for this film. He didn't do much in terms of acting, but his presence being there was a real treat. And I gotta give it credit where credit is due. To see a familiar face from the horror community just being there. And knowing that he is someone from the horror community in a horror film should count for something. It was a great addition to this film. You even get more of John Carbickler as Jack Cracker, the guy that tried to warn everybody in the first film, as the guy that I referred to as the Crazy Ralph of that film from Friday the 13th. So you get more on-screen time with him in Hatchet II. And for those of you who don't know who that was, he was a special makeup effects artist. And also, for your Friday the 13th fans, as I mentioned in the first film's review, the director of Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Sadly, he's another one that we have lost. He passed away this past year, so he will be greatly missed. But that was a real treat seeing him in Hatchet 2, especially in the extended part, even though his character don't last. And the topper of all positives was this one scene where it shows the extended backstory to Victor Crowley, where it shows more of Kane Hodder playing his dad, playing Victor Crowley's dad, and it shows more of what happened, and more to the lore of what the first one did. And that's another thing I loved about this film. They built on of what they already said in the first one, and they just piled on it, but they did it right. Without messing anything up to what's already been said, they actually recap that whole scene from the first one after showing the extended backstory of what happened, which is really messed up, but in a good way, because you get to find out how Victor Crowley actually came to be. And I thought that was really awesome. I thought that added great depth to this film and extra horror and extra tenseness. You want a good backstory for your killer if it's done right, and they did it right. They definitely did it right.
Victor Crowley would become one of the most tragic and heartbreaking tales of Louisiana.
I always love that. I always enjoy getting in the details as to why certain things happen. You know, some things you don't really need explaining, like Jason's backstory or Michael's backstory. Those iconic characters, those are like totally separate. But someone like Victor Crowley, you get to find out more of his tragic story, which is definitely it. A tragic, tragic end. And I thought they did it justice in this film. Plus, bonus, again, like I said, you get more of Kane Hodder as his dad. And I thought he did a really good job. Not only playing a monster, but his dad. Just like I said in the first film's review. Which made the tone and pace of this film pretty good. You know, I do have problems with it, which I'll get into later, but the tone and pace from that moment on, because of the backstory and the extended lore story, it really added to the film, and I was hooked right away. I was definitely hooked from that moment on. It definitely boosted my appeal of the film. And again, I gotta mention Kane Hodder as Victor Crowley. I cannot do a review like this without mentioning my main man, Kane Hodder. As in the first one, he did a really good job as that monster. You know, Victor Crowley, he's one of those kind of iconic characters, not like Jason, but he plays this character with such viciousness and such brutality and visceralness. It's just uncanny how much this man has put himself through to play a monster like this. And just like I said in the first film's review, the man was born to play parts like this. I mean, he even says in the interviews that he loves playing parts like that. He loves hurting people and, you know, scaring them and stuff. Even on set, I hear that he's like a decent guy and that he stays in character sometimes and then he scares some of the actors like behind the scenes and that some of them don't like it, but he's one of those types of, he doesn't care. So yeah, you can tell that this guy is pretty awesome to hang around with if you don't mind being scared every now and then. But yeah, him as Victor Crowley, no disappointments here. No disappointments from this guy. And as far as negatives goes, and this is where the film really hit the slope for me. The acting wasn't as memorable. It was not good. The acting just felt forced. Particularly Danielle Harris's character as Marybeth. To this day, I have no idea why they recast that part. Now, first of all, okay, let me just say, she was terrific in the Halloween films. Halloween 4 and 5 when she was a little kid. Even in the Rob Zombie versions when she was fully grown and played Annie in those. I actually did like her in those. But in this film, I never gotten that much into her. I never got that much out of her. She just wasn't that convincing. She just didn't have that strong final girl act that Amara Zaragoza had in the first one. That girl I really liked in that part. That's another reason why the first one is so high up with me. And to this day, I searched and searched. Maybe you guys could tell me why this is, but I don't understand why she didn't return to this part. Maybe it was contractual disputes. Maybe it was scheduling. Maybe it was just the fact that she didn't want to do the part anymore. I don't know. But I really wish she would have just returned. I mean, I don't understand. I never understood that. Again, Danielle Harris, she's a hit and a miss. Sometimes she does good, sometimes she doesn't. And it just felt like in this film, she was a swing and a miss. I'm sorry, I never got that much into her. I always got the impression that she was acting off as a Crowley victim, what she was, but one of the actual victims that dies off. Because I never really felt a strong vibe from her. Not like the actor from the first one. I never understood why they recast that part. But again, you know, leave me a comment down below and, you know, maybe one of y'all could figure that out and let me know. But I searched and I just couldn't find any indication as to why that is. It never made sense to me. And as far as the rest of the characters goes, not that memorable. Especially Colton Dunn, who plays a character in there which I always pegged to be like a replacement for Deanna Richmond's character in the first one, which I highly liked in that one because he was so funny. He had that comedic spark to him, which I think he is like a stand-up comedian on the side. I might be wrong on that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like Martin Lawrence and all them famous actors. But Colton Dunn, and this, it fell flat.
With the biscuits and the chicken wants a biscuit, for the biscuit is me.
It felt like he was trying too hard, and I just didn't really get that much of a comedic tone from him, let alone from the rest of this film, not like the first one had. The first one played the comedic tone just right. But in this one, because the acting was so bad, it would just fell flat for me. It just didn't do nothing for me. I was a little embarrassed in some parts. I was like, really? Okay, moving on. Please, Victor Crowley, get these characters and kill them good. Because they were annoying. It was just bad all around. However, it did have its moments. I'm not bashing the film completely, but it did have its moments. Hatchet II wasn't a great sequel, but it had its moments. It's spicy but digestible. So, Hatchet II, what was your thoughts on it? Have you seen it yet? Did you like the overall tone to it? Did you like the extended backstory that it showed with the lore and Victor Crowley and all that? Or do you prefer the first over this one? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Stay tuned for more videos and reviews coming soon. Like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace the rep out.